Today, a global icon of paradise. Sun-drenched beaches, vibrant reefs, and the gentle spirit of aloha drawing millions to its shores. But rewind 2 centuries, and these volcanic islands were a world apart, a sovereign, ancient Polynesian kingdom navigating a turbulent sea of change. Through this journey, we will witness Hawaii's 19th century, a saga not of glittering self-invention, but of profound collision and transformation. It is a story written in faith, disease, sugar, and the relentless tide of empire. A story where the very soul of a people was tested, and a new society was forged in the crucible of the Pacific. Our story begins not with a founding document, but with a fragile unity. The year is 1810. After decades of conflict, the great chief Kamehameha has just forced the final island of Kauai to acknowledge his rule. For the first time in their history, the Hawaiian Islands are one kingdom. From the misty cliffs of the Napali coast to the fiery slopes of Kilauea, the land is governed by the sacred Kapo system, a complex web of spiritual and social laws that maintains balance with the gods. The landscape is a tapestry of loi kalo, lush taro terraces, and intricate loko aya, fish ponds that speak to a society of profound resource management and self-sufficiency. But this hard-won unity is already porous. Foreign ships, British, American, Russian, have been calling for a generation, ever since Captain James Cook's fateful arrival in 1778. They bring iron, cloth, muskets, and invisible passengers. The world has found Hawaii, and Hawaii can no longer hide from the world. The first great pivot arrives on the wings of a stern new god. In the spring of 1820, the brig Thaddeus drops anchor at Kailua Kona. Aboard are the first company of American Protestant missionaries from New England. They find a kingdom in spiritual and social flux. Just months before, Kamehameha's son and successor, Liholiho, had deliberately broken the ancient eating kapo, triggering the official overthrow of the old religious system. The people exist in a profound vacuum. The missionaries, with their Bibles, their plain dresses, and their unshakable conviction, step into this void. Their impact is immediate and tectonic. With a breathtaking focus, they develop a written alphabet for the Hawaiian language. Literacy spreads like wildfire. Within a single generation, Hawaii boasts one of the highest literacy rates on the globe. The written word becomes a new power, but so does a new moral code. The hula, the vibrant heartbeat of history and genealogy, is driven underground. The colorful kapa cloth is replaced by heavy mumu and palaka. The landscape of the mind and spirit is being relentlessly, irrevocably remapped. Yet even as the missionaries work, a far more ruthless and silent force is enacting a demographic catastrophe. Isolated for over 1,000 years, the Kanaka Maoli, the native Hawaiian people, possess no immunity to the diseases of the West. Smallpox, measles, whooping cough, influenza, each ship is a potential vector of doom. The numbers tell a story of unspeakable loss. From an estimated population of perhaps 300,000 to over 1 million at Cook's contact, the people are reduced to roughly 130,000 by 1830. By the end of the century, they will number fewer than 40,000. This is not merely a statistic. It is a hollowing out. Whole villages stand empty. Knowledge of the land, of the stars, of the chants, dies with every fever-stricken elder. The Aina itself seems to weep, its caretakers vanishing. This devastating vacuum creates a space that will be filled by others, and an economy that will demand new hands. That economy has a name, and its name is sugar. The rich volcanic soil and plentiful sun make the islands ideal for the white gold. Small plantations begin to dot the landscape in the 1830s and 40s. But to become an empire, sugar needs 2 things, land and labor. The land is secured through a seismic legal shift, the Great Mahel of 1848. Pressured by foreign advisors, King Kamehameha III attempts to transition from a communal land tenure system to Western-style private property. The intention is noble, to secure native title against foreign claims. The result is a disaster. The complex process baffles most commoners. Vast tracts of land are claimed by the alii, the chiefs, and especially by shrewd foreign businessmen. The kulina, the small plots awarded to native families, are often later lost for debt or taxes. Theina, the source of life and identity, is transformed into a commodity on a ledger. And the labor, the decimated and often unwilling native Hawaiian population cannot meet the back-breaking, monotonous demand of the plantation. So begins the great importation. Starting with several hundred Chinese in the 1850s, a human river begins to flow into Honolulu and Lahaina. Portuguese from the Azores and Madeira follow. Then in 1868, the first official group of Japanese laborers, the Ganon Mono, arrives. Later come Koreans, Puerto Ricans, and vast numbers of Filipinos. They sign multi-year contracts, dreaming of opportunity but finding a life of grueling dawn to dusk labor under the Luna, the field overseer. The plantations are ethnic microcosms, with segregated camps and a brutal hierarchy. The sound of Hawaii changes. The cadence of the Hawaiian language is joined by the clatter of Cantonese, the melody of Portuguese fado, the strum of the Spanish guitar, the beat of the Filipino rondella. Hawaii's modern multicultural identity is born here, in the sweat and sorrow of the sugar fields. Throughout this economic revolution, the Kingdom of Hawaii fights a desperate diplomatic battle to maintain its sovereignty. Monarchs like Kamehameha IV and his queen, Emma, cultivate ties with Britain. King Kalakaua, the Merry Monarch, embarks on a dazzling global tour in 1881, signing treaties and asserting Hawaii's place among the nations of the world. He builds the magnificent Iolani Palace, a symbol of modern monarchy with electric lights and telephones before the White House possessed them. He champions a cultural renaissance, reviving the hula and the ancient chants. But his political power is being systematically stripped. The sugar magnates, now mostly American, chafe under a native monarchy. Their product needs a tariff-free market in the United States, and annexation is the cleanest solution. In 1887, they force their hand. Armed with rifles and a threat of violence, a group of powerful white businessmen, lawyers, and sugar planters, the so-called Hawaiian League, confronts Kalakaua. They present him with the bayonet constitution. It eviscerates the monarchy's authority, transfers power to a cabinet they control, and imposes severe property and income requirements for voting, disenfranchising not only most native Hawaiians but also the growing population of Asian immigrant laborers. The government is now, in effect, a planter oligarchy. The stage for the final act is set. Kalakaua dies in 1891, a broken king. His sister, Liliuokalani, ascends the throne. A fierce patriot, a gifted composer, and a shrewd leader, she is determined to right the wrong. In 1893, she moves to promulgate a new constitution that would restore power to her people and the throne. For the oligarchy, this is the final threat. They form a committee of safety and appeal to the U.S. minister in Honolulu, John L. Stevens. On January 16th, with the committee fearing a royal crackdown, Stevens orders U.S. Marines from the USS Boston to land and protect American life and property. Their march to positions overlooking Iolani Palace and the government buildings is not a neutral act. It is the decisive show of force. Surrounded, outgunned, and wishing above all to avoid the bloodshed of her people, Queen Liliuokalani yields her authority on January 17, 1893. But she does not yield it to the conspirators. She surrenders it to the United States government itself, trusting in its ultimate sense of justice. It is a trust misplaced. Though a subsequent presidential investigation by James Blount condemns the U.S. role as an act of war, and President Grover Cleveland calls for the restoration of the Queen, the machinery of annexation is too powerful. The conspirators proclaim a provisional government, which becomes the Republic of Hawaii in 1894, led by Sanford B. Dole. For 5 years, native Hawaiians organize. They hold mass meetings. They send petitions bearing tens of thousands of names to Washington, D.C. in a stunning display of political organization. Their plea is clear. We love our country and our Queen. Do not annex us. But in 1898, the strategic calculus of the Spanish-American War seals their fate. Hawaii's value as a mid-Pacific coaling station and naval base is now paramount. Amid the fervor of war, a joint resolution of Congress passes, and the islands are annexed. The sovereignty, recognized by the world for nearly a century, is extinguished. From a unified kingdom to a mission field, from a population collapse to a plantation society, from a diplomatic player to a geopolitical pawn, Hawaii's 19th century was a century of unimaginable transformation. It was an alchemy of loss and creation, where the sweetness of sugar was rooted in bitter conquest. The foundational layers of modern Hawaii were laid in this era. The tragic decline of its indigenous people, the rich tapestry of immigrant cultures, the dominance of corporate agriculture, and its irrevocable strategic absorption into the American story. The 1800s closed not with a beginning, but with a deep and unresolved question, a question of justice, of identity, and of the true meaning of sovereignty. The paradise had been irrevocably altered, its future now tied to a distant flag, its past a persistent and powerful memory in the whisper of the waves and the strength of the land itself.